In this lesson, we'll continue to build orthographic drawings and convert them into three-dimensional objects using our isometric actions. Okay, so in the previous lesson, I showed you how to take a footprint of one of these buildings that we've already applied our top action to, and go ahead and use the orthographic drawings and create a 3D object of the building. Now, in this lesson, I just want to go ahead and spend a little bit more time walking through this process with you. So I'm going to go ahead and take a little more complex building. Let's go ahead and grab this building right here. And as a matter of fact, I have a copy of that building right down here, and that's before we applied the action to it. Now remember, the easiest way to think about this process is in terms of planes, or in surfaces. Now really, we're only going to have three surfaces visible to us when we convert this object into 3D. Remember this building up here? We can only see the top of it, this left side, and this right side. So that's all we need to be concerned with as far as the orthographic drawing of this building. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my rectangle tool with the keyboard shortcut M, and I'm going to just go ahead and draw in a rectangle here. Now this initial rectangle is going to be the face of this left side of our building. So we need it to be the exact same width as this surface right here. So I'm going to use my smart guides to line that up. Now this first wall here is also going to determine the depth of our building. Now, keeping in mind that this is a relatively simple building, there's really only one elevation that we need to be concerned with. So we're not going to have to deal with multiple elevations. So I'm going to go ahead and just stretch this out, make this a little bit taller, thinking about how many stories this building might be or how tall I might want it to be. So let's go ahead and stretch it out to about there. And there's another surface that faces in the same direction that we actually need to be concerned with. And it is this surface right here. For this little carved out area, we have this shorter surface right here. Now, we're not actually going to see that surface if we're standing on this opposite side of the building, but in looking at this in terms of the three different faces, we're actually going to see that. So let's go ahead and just make a copy of this by holding down the Alt key, drag it up, and I tell you what, let's go ahead and just resize this so that we get an accurate reading on this surface as well. So I'm going to just resize that so it fits in there, and we've got our two surfaces. So let's go ahead and just drag that one down, and we've got basically everything we need based on an orthographic drawing from this side of the building. Now again, we could add as many windows, detail, bricks, whatever we want to these walls to really add detail to this building, depending on what kind of building we're creating. So I'm just going to leave this as a very simple building. I'm going to go ahead and let's go ahead and work on this side right here. Now remember, we established depth with these two shapes. So I'm going to copy one of these up here, and I'm going to go ahead and rotate it on its side, because for this side of the building, we actually have three different surfaces we need to be concerned with. And I'm going to go ahead and use this shape and just transform this to make these first two surfaces, these two longer surfaces. So I'm going to go ahead and just zoom in nice and tight on that. Make sure those two match up fairly well. Alright, let's go ahead and just make a copy of that, drag it down using our smart guides. And it looks like we may just be a little bit short. Yeah, you can see there we're a little short, so I'll go drag that up just a little bit. And you know, that may not seem like much, but when you're piecing these things together and you get a little white gap between two of the walls, and you wonder why, it's usually because you didn't have one of those faces the correct size. So it's important to get these as close as you possibly can. And this is one of those instances where the smart guides wasn't helping us to get that particular surface nailed down. So I'm going to go ahead and grab one of these again, and let's go ahead and just copy that, bring it over here, and I'm going to go ahead and just fit it right into this little cubby right here. And I'm going to work to get this last surface. Alright, so let's go ahead and just shorten that up here. We know that the depth is going to be the exact same as those other two surfaces on this side. We just need to get this width right here. So I'll go ahead and pull this in, match it up with these other two, and if we wanted to really show depth, we could come in here, grab these two surfaces, and lighten those up just a little bit. Let's go ahead and apply a different color to those and then rotate those. And if we were staring at the front of this building, this is something like what we would see. Now it looks like this particular surface didn't get rotated when we rotated these, so let me go and rotate that here. It should fit nice and neatly into where we were at. So yep, that looks pretty good. So we've got both of these different surfaces, or these different walls. So let me go ahead and just change the color of this one so we can show some depth there. This one's going to be closer to us. This one will be further back in, therefore a little bit more shadowed. And I tell you what, let's go ahead and put this building together by running our actions. I'm going to go ahead and run my top action on this shape. Now remember, we had that keyboard shortcut set up to F6. That's the top clockwise action. And let's go ahead and focus on this left side first. This is the shape we need, so we're going to run that left action with F5. Snap that one into position here. Get in real nice and close there so we can get those two shapes perfectly snugged up together. And let's go ahead and just grab this shape right here. We'll change the color of the top here just a little so we can see a little differentiation there. We'll go ahead and run our left action on this shape right here and snug it up into place right about here. So you can see that building these actual 3D buildings can be a little time consuming depending on how advanced your shape is, but I think that the results are really nice. So let's go ahead and run our right action on these shapes. And that was the keyboard shortcut F8, and we'll snap those into position here. Make that just a little darker. Use our eyedropper tool. Keyboard shortcut is I for that. And I tell you what, we need to send one of these shapes to the back. It looks like this one right here. I'll do that with Control-Shift open bracket. And we'll go ahead and move this one back as well. Now this one also needs to be sent to the back, so Control-Shift open bracket that one as well. If you don't like using the keyboard shortcuts, you could always come up to Object, Arrange, and Send to Back. Right there. So let's go ahead and just change the color of this face so we can see the difference there. And you can see here we've got our three-dimensional building. Now I want to go ahead and take a look at probably the most advanced building on here, which is this building right here. Now I've got over here to the left in our scratch area that building, and I've reduced it down to the two particular isometric two particular orthographic drawings that we need. We need this side and we need this side. So you know, with an advanced building like this, I would probably just break this down into its simple shapes. So looking at different elevations here, different shapes stacked on top of each other, I'd probably come in, grab all these shapes right here and group those together with a Control-G. And let's run our left action on this group here. And let's go ahead and grab this shape right here, group those together, and we'll run our right action on that. And we'll just snap those together here. Just like so. Let's go ahead and grab the top of this portion of the hospital. Now the top here is actually going to be, let me just zoom in here, it's going to be this series of shapes right here. Let me just group these together. Right there. Now these two squares right here are going to be a different elevation, so we're going to have to build those separately. So I'm going to go ahead and drag these over here, run my top action on them with F6. And we can snap this down into position right there. Now again, I'm including all of these orthographic drawings and all of these 3D buildings in the final files for this course. So if you want to dig in there, break those down, and look at how I built these different buildings, then by all means go ahead and do that. So I've got a couple more shapes here. Let's go ahead and run our left action on this one, and let's run our right action on this one. Actually, let me just go ahead and undo that really fast here. I think I ran the top action on that one. We'll run the left action on that one. Move this over here, run our right action here. Actually, let me go ahead and undo that. We need to get that in a horizontal state. Let me rotate this. Then we can run our right action on that. There we go. Now we've got the two lips I was looking for. So this one's going to go right in here. This one's going to go right in here, and we're going to create some depth here, creating a sort of a ledge on this building. So I'm going to go ahead and ungroup this here. And let me just go ahead and swing these into position. Now we're actually going to need to use a clipping mask here. Where did that other shape go? There we go. Let's go ahead and ungroup that again. I'm not sure how that shape got deleted, but we'll just undo and get it back. Send these to the back. There's our shape. It's getting tucked in behind some other shapes. So there we go. Now we need to create a clipping mask for these two shapes to mask off the ends right here and right here. So I tell you what I'm going to go ahead and do. Let's go ahead and select this shape. Let's go into draw inside mode here. And we're going to get these little dashed corner pieces. Let me go ahead and cut this shape right here. I'm just going to paste it into this shape by selecting it and hitting Control V. You can see now that shape is actually acting as a clipping mask. So we'll just actually snap that right back into the position there. And let's come over here and do the exact same thing with this piece right here. We'll go ahead and cut that with a Control X, select this shape, and paste it back in. Again, reposition that here. And there we go. We have our three-dimensional ledge of our object. Let me switch out of draw inside mode. And we've built this portion of the hospital. So, I would probably go through a similar process in breaking down the rest of these shapes. I'd break these down as boxes. I'd approach this one, then I'd approach this one, I'd approach each one of these. I've created a couple of faces out here to use for this side right here and this side right here. And then we have these two objects for this side and this side. This is just a cube as well. And, again, these are just cubes. So I would look at them as that and approach this specific building by breaking it down into its simplified shapes. Okay, so I think you get the idea. Now, again, I'd like to just encourage you to practice at creating buildings like this, especially if you're doing a map. And, the more practice you have, the better you're going to get at it. And don't be afraid to start incorporating some different details. Start thinking about difficult objects like staircases and awnings and things like that. Think about them in a three-dimensional world and how they would look in using this isometric actions or these isometric actions. So in the next lesson, we're going to pick up where we're leaving off here, and we're going to talk about a few things that we can add to our map to really embellish it and flush out some of the nice detail in it.